Right, now I've got to skip very rapidly through these things to get up to where we were. We got up to number 7, I think. Reason 7 was favouring local provenance plants in the belief that they are going to have better survival and growth prospects. Although, as you've seen with those correas, you can sometimes get much better survival and growth by introducing some extra genes from somewhere else, but that's perhaps an uncommon event. But this was still a very commonly held view that one should grow local provenance plants because they have better survival and growth. I haven't seen a lot of proper evidence of that. Now, have any of the people on the panel seen good evidence of that? I guess in some cases we know that plants that come from nearer tend to be better adapted to local conditions, and I think Linda has already addressed that this morning. But does anybody on the panel want to make any comments in regard to the better survival and growth of local provenance species? Ari?
We've looked at local adaptation in about 6 species recently, where we've actually done transplant experiments. And of course there are other studies across Victoria that have also looked at it. So one example where we found very strong local adaptation, and someone mentioned grasses this morning and the fact that they should have quite long gene flow, but we looked at Poa hyamata, which is a common grass in the alpine area, and we had transects that went across elevation gradients that were only about 400 metres. And despite that fact that we only covered 400 metres, we had very strong local adaptation, such that the ones that we got from the top, when we put them at the bottom, and vice versa, had a survival difference of about 80%. So that's pretty dramatic. So that's a very nice example of very strong local adaptation that can occur in grasses. Now we've also looked at Craspedia, and we found some good local adaptation. We've looked at a couple of sedges, and one of the sedges showed local adaptation in a similar scale, the other one didn't. And we've looked at a couple of other species where we get no evidence of local adaptation at all. So we have a trigger plant where there's simply no evidence of local adaptation. So at this stage, I think, it just depends on the system you look at. So people have done large-scale analyses where they've looked across many studies, and this is not necessarily Australian material, but across the world. And typically they find local adaptation in about 70% of species that have been considered.